Her head was warm against my shoulder, the scent of salt and coconut in her hair mixing with the ocean breeze. The sky over Bohol looked like it had been painted just for us, streaks of orange and pink rolling into the sea. She wrapped her fingers around mine, and I swear I felt 20 years younger in that moment. "You okay, baby?" she whispered. I nodded. "I'm better than I've been in years." She smiled and kissed my cheek like it was the most natural thing in the world. I didn't flinch. I didn't question it. I just let myself believe. "I wish this moment could last forever," I said. She sat up slightly and looked at me with those deep, round eyes. "Then let's make it forever," she said, resting her palm on my chest. "I don't care if you're 67. You treat me better than boys my age," I chuckled. "You keep calling me a boy and I'll start believing I've still got hair on my head." She giggled, an honest belly-deep laugh, and curled back into me. "I like your bald head," she said. "It's smooth like a mango seed. I didn't know how I got so lucky. 6 weeks ago I'd landed in Manila with nothing but a suitcase, a broken heart, and a pension that came in on the 1st of every month. I met Rika the second week just by chance. She worked mornings at the cafe near my guest house. I started going every day, not just for the coffee. "You always sit alone," she had said the first time we spoke. "Are you waiting for someone?" I told her I wasn't waiting for anyone anymore. She looked at me then like I had just told her the saddest story in the world, and she didn't look away. That's what I remember most. She didn't look away. "I feel safe with you," she said now, dragging her fingertip along my wrist. "Like, I don't have to pretend." I stared out at the water and let that sink in. No one had said that to me in years, maybe ever. I turned toward her. "What about your friends? Don't they think it's weird, you with someone my age?" She waved her hand like the question didn't matter. "They don't understand. They want boys with six-packs and zero plans. I want a man who listens to me, who shows up when he says he will. You do that." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I'm just trying to be honest with you." She looked at me for a long moment, then placed her hand on my cheek. "That's why I'm still here." I wanted to believe it, every word, and honestly I did. She wasn't just some young girl looking for an easy way out. She was funny, quick to laugh, and paid attention to things no one else ever had, like how I drank my coffee with 1 sugar but only on Sundays, or how I rubbed my knees before standing up because they ached more in the mornings. "You're not like the others," I told her. "I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I can breathe when I'm around you." She smiled and kissed my knuckles. "Then keep breathing, baby." Later that night, she danced barefoot in the sand to music from someone's speaker down the beach. I sat there watching her, swaying in her little white dress, arms lifted like she hadn't been hurt yet by the world. I didn't care who was watching. I wanted the whole island to know I was hers. When she came back and plopped onto my lap, still laughing, she said, "Promise me something?" I nodded. "Promise you won't break my heart?" I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Only if you promise not to break mine." She leaned her forehead against mine. Deal, I should have known. But in that moment, under that sky, with her arms around me and my past 1,000 miles behind us, I didn't want to know anything else. I used to sit at my kitchen table in Kansas with the TV on mute, just to feel less alone. My ex-wife used to say I was emotionally distant, like it was some chronic disease I caught in my 30s. She was probably right. After the divorce, the silence in that house got louder by the day. My daughter called once every few months out of duty, and my son didn't even do that much. When I finally sold the place, packed up my things and bought that one-way ticket to Manila, I wasn't running from anything. I just didn't want to die in a place where I'd already stopped living. I found a small studio apartment near Makati. No frills, just enough room for my suitcase, my meds, and a small table I barely used. I started walking every morning just to remind my legs they still worked. That's when I found the cafe and Rika. She smiled like she meant it, like it wasn't just part of the job. "Good morning, sir," she said that first day, handing me coffee without asking how I take it. "You look tired. You sleep okay?" No one had asked me that in years. She started sitting with me during her breaks. "Why did you come to the Philippines?" she asked one morning. I sipped my coffee and said, To remember what peace feels like. She leaned her elbows on the table. You look like someone who's had a hard life. I chuckled. You saying I look old? She laughed. No, just tired behind the eyes. That night I wrote her name in my journal. I hadn't written a woman's name down in over a decade. 2 weeks later, I asked her to dinner. She didn't hesitate. She wore a blue dress and let me hold her hand. Do you always move this fast? I asked. She smiled. Only when I know what I want. She came over the next day to see if I had food in my fridge. When she opened it and saw just bottled water and leftover chicken adobo, she gasped. You need me, she said. I laughed, but she wasn't joking. She started coming by more often, bringing groceries, cooking rice and vegetables, making sure I took my blood pressure pills. One morning I woke up to find her sweeping the porch in my old t-shirt, humming to herself. You don't have to do this, I said, sitting up, groggy. She looked over her shoulder. I want to. I'd been alone so long I forgot what it felt like to have someone fold your shirts without being asked, to have dinner waiting without it being a holiday. When I sat down one night, rubbing my feet from walking too much in old sandals, she pulled up a chair. Give me, she said, tapping my ankle. What? I asked. Your foot. She massaged them like she'd done it 100 times before. You should buy better shoes, she mumbled. You're not 30 anymore. I laughed, but something caught in my throat. No one had taken care of me like that. Not even when I was married. One night I told her about my ex-wife, how we used to sleep with our backs facing each other, like strangers on a long flight. She said I didn't talk enough, I admitted. Rika was brushing her hair in the mirror. You talk. To me, she said. A lot. I looked at her reflection. Maybe I just needed someone who wanted to hear me. She turned and smiled. Well, now you have that. The first time she talked about her family, it was quiet. We were sitting on the balcony. My mom called, she said. She asked who I was with. I looked at her. And what did you say? She smirked. That I'm happy. I wanted to ask more, but I didn't. Some things felt better left unspoken. She never pushed for labels or timelines. She just slipped into my life like she'd always been there. 1 month in, I asked if she wanted to stay over full-time. You mean live here? She asked. I nodded. She grinned. Finally, I was tired of packing my things back and forth. We rearranged the apartment that night. She brought a pink toothbrush and a small plant that now lives on the windowsill. This place needed a woman's touch, she said, tossing her purse on the couch. I laughed. I didn't know it was missing anything. She kissed me. Now you do. I started waking up with her beside me, curled into my arm, breathing slow and steady. One morning, I watched her sleep and thought, this is it. This is what I never had. Not fireworks or drama, just quiet company. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was counting down to the end. I felt like I had something again, something real, something good. Her phone started buzzing more often, usually late in the afternoon when she thought I wasn't paying attention. She'd glance at the screen, press the side button, then slip it into her bag like it didn't matter. I didn't want to be the jealous type, never was, but after the 5th time in 1 week, I asked, who keeps calling? You? She looked up from folding laundry and smiled, casual as ever. Just my cousin Mike, he's always messaging nonsense. I nodded, but something itched at me. Why's he got the money face emoji next to his name? She smirked. Because he thinks he's rich, he brags all the time. I laughed along with her, but I didn't feel it. That night she turned her phone face down when we went to bed. I told myself I was being paranoid. The next morning, over breakfast, she asked, Baby, can I talk to you about something? I looked up from my eggs. Of course. She played with her spoon for a second. My mom's landlord is raising the rent. She's behind by 1 month. I feel so bad. I waited. It's just 6,000 pesos. I was thinking maybe... I didn't even let her finish. Yeah, sure, I said. Whatever helps. She reached over and squeezed my hand. You're too kind to me. I smiled, but a voice deep inside asked why I was the only one helping. I pushed it down. 2 days later, she brought it up again. My niece's school is charging extra for uniforms. Public schools here are not really free, you know? I nodded. How much? Just 4,000. I transferred it right away. You don't have to ask. You're family now. She kissed my cheek. I love how generous you are. I held on to that word. Love. Maybe she didn't say it every day, but when she did, it felt like all my doubts got swept under the rug. A week went by without any requests. Then, out of nowhere, she said, "My brother wants to start a delivery job. He just needs help with a down payment for a motorcycle. Maybe we could lend it, not give." I blinked. How much are we talking? 20,000 just to start. He'll pay back, swear. I paused. That's a bit more than before. She didn't flinch. I understand. It's okay. I just thought I'd ask. I stared at her, waiting for some flicker of guilt or embarrassment, but she just picked at her nail. No, I'll send it, I said. Just tell him to be careful on the road. She grinned. You're the best, baby. I started watching patterns. She was sweet after I said yes. Extra kisses, longer hugs. She'd sit on my lap and call. Me my king. I felt like a king too, until the phone buzzed again during dinner. Mike, I pointed at the screen. Your cousin again? She looked, then laughed. Ugh, he's so annoying. I took a sip of water. He texts a lot for someone you say you barely talk to. She tilted her head. You don't trust me? I froze. No, I do. Just curious. Her smile dropped just for a second. He's family. Don't make it weird. I nodded. Okay. Sorry. Later that night, I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling. I thought about how quickly I'd opened my world to her. Passwords, bank info, even my daily pension schedule. She knew it all. But when I looked over, she was curled up beside me, hand resting gently on my chest. I didn't want to ruin what we had. Maybe I was just scared of being alone again. Maybe I was confusing peace with silence. I kissed the top of her head and whispered, I trust you. She didn't respond. Just breathed slow and steady like nothing was wrong. But I kept thinking about Mike, about those emojis, about how easily I handed out money like it was love. Still, every time she called me baby, I felt like I mattered. Again. Every time she made garlic rice or rubbed my back after a nap, I told myself this is what real care looks like. So what if her family needed help? I had the means. And she had me. What's mine is hers, right? That's what love is, or at least what I needed it to be. She sat cross-legged on the floor, my laptop open between us, her fingers moving faster than mine ever could. This app is good, see? All your money right here, she said, pointing to the screen. I leaned over her shoulder. I barely use that thing, I admitted. She smiled. You should. What if something happens to you, baby? You get sick or fall, and I need to pay hospital. I nodded. You're right. She tapped her finger on the screen again. Can I save the password in my phone just in case? I hesitated. She looked at me. You trust me, right? I nodded again, of course. I read the password out loud and she typed it in. Done, she said, smiling. Now we're a team. She leaned against me, her cheek resting on my arm. How much do you get every month from America? I told her. Her eyes widened. Wow, baby, too, we're rich. She threw her arms around my neck and laughed like a kid at a carnival. I laughed too, partly because she looked so happy, partly because I wanted to feel what she felt. We could travel, she said, buy a car, build a small house. All is possible. I kissed her forehead. We'll start small. See how things go? She pouted. You don't want to dream big with me? I chuckled. I'm old, Rika. My dreams come with morning meds and naps. She grinned. Then I'll bring your meds to the beach. The next morning, she brought me coffee and sat on the edge of the bed. Can I ask you something? She said. Of course. She looked serious. Do you have life insurance? I raised an eyebrow. What for? If something happens, you said your heart isn't strong. What if… She trailed off, then smiled. I just worry. I love you. I waved it off. I've got enough. In savings, that's what matters. She nodded, but her eyes lingered longer than usual. 2 days later, while chopping onions, she blurted out, "I have a business idea." I wiped my hands. "Let's hear it." "A sari store, just small on our street. Locals buy snacks, drinks, cigarettes. My cousin has one and makes good money." I tilted my head. "You want to run it?" "We both run it. You stay. Home I handle customers. We share profit." I smiled. "And where would this store go?" "Near the corner, that small spot by the barber. I already asked. They say okay." I sat down. "And how much would it cost?" "Only 80,000 to start. We can build shelves, stock rice, canned goods. We make it back quick." I paused. "That's a chunk of change." She nodded. "I know, but it's for us, not just for me." I looked at her, standing there barefoot, hair tied up, hands smelling like garlic. She wasn't a gold digger. She cleaned my toilets, massaged my swollen legs, slept beside me when I snored like a freight train. She wasn't pretending. "You really want to do this?" I asked. "Yes," she said, "for our future." I reached for my phone. "Okay, let's see how much I can move this month." She squealed and wrapped her arms around me. "I love you, baby." I whispered, "I love you too. I meant it. God help me, I really did." I waited by the food court at SM Megamall for almost an hour before I checked my phone again. Still no message. No missed call. Rika was never late. She used to tease me for arriving too early. I tried calling. It rang twice, then went dead. I looked around, thinking, maybe I missed her. I hadn't. My sandwich sat untouched. I told myself there had to be a reason. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she got caught in traffic. Maybe I was overreacting. After 2 hours, I stopped making excuses. I walked out of the mall with my chest tight and my hands clenched in my pockets. She finally messaged me around 5. "Sorry, baby, I forgot. I was with my cousin all day. That's all she said." "No, I'm so sorry. No, I hope you're okay. Just, I forgot." I stared at the message and read it twice. Forgot. We'd planned this 2 days ago. I sat on the edge of my bed and just stared at the wall. I didn't even know how to reply. She came home after dark, smiling like nothing happened. "Hey, baby," she said, setting her bag down. I didn't stand. "You forgot we were meeting." She tossed her hair back. "I told you I was with my cousin, Mike. We went to visit my aunt's house. Far." I nodded slowly. "You couldn't text?" She shrugged. Signal was bad. I looked at her carefully. Something about her face was different, not guilty, just distant. Her eyes didn't settle. "Next time, just let me know," I said. I was worried. She walked over and kissed my cheek. "Don't worry too much, I'm here now." I tried to let it go. I really did. That night, while she showered, I opened the drawer where she kept her makeup. I wasn't snooping. I just went to look for the lotion she used on my legs sometimes. But something shiny caught my eye. A gold bracelet still in a tiny red box. It looked new. Too new. I held it up to the light. I hadn't seen it before. When she came out in her towel, I asked, "Where'd this come from?" She glanced. "Had it. My mom gave it to me." I turned the box. "When?" "Last week. She gave it when I visited." I nodded. "You haven't worn it?" She dried her hair. "I don't want to lose it. It's special." I set it down and didn't ask anything else, but in my gut something turned. The next morning she made garlic rice like nothing had happened. "Do you want coffee or Milo?" she asked. "Coffee's fine." She sat across from me. "You look serious." I tried to smile. "Just tired." She reached across the table and took my hand. "Maybe we go to Tagaytay this weekend. You need fresh air." I nodded. "Sure." I smiled back, but I wasn't all there. My mind kept circling back to the bracelet, the missed messages, the way her story kept shifting just a little, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to push her away. That night in bed, she cuddled into me and whispered, "You believe me, right?" I kissed her forehead. "Of course." She held me tighter. "I never want to hurt you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. So I closed my eyes and told myself that people forget sometimes, that cousins give gold jewelry, that poor signal could happen in a city of millions, I told myself love was trust, and I wasn't ready to lose her. Not yet. She was in the shower, humming something light and sweet, and her phone lit up on the nightstand. I wasn't trying to look, I really wasn't, but the screen flashed bright in the darkroom. The name hit me first. Mike. Then the message. Can't wait to see you again tonight. My stomach flipped. I sat up slowly, staring at the words like they were written in another language. I read it again. Then I picked up the phone, hands shaking. It was locked. I set it back down. My breath came short. She hummed louder, water still running. I stood there in the dark, heart hammering, trying to make it make sense. Cousin. She said Mike was her cousin. I wanted to believe that again. I wanted to pretend I'd imagined the emoji, the message, the tone. But I knew. When the water shut off, I sat down and opened my laptop. I typed her full name into Facebook, something I hadn't done in months. I'd never felt the need. I was already in her life. Why look from the outside? Her profile loaded. Slowly. The Wi-Fi felt like it crawled on purpose. Her status said, complicated. I stared at the word. My chest tightened. Then I clicked on her photos. I kept scrolling. Birthday cake, family party, a beach trip. My hand froze on the trackpad. There she was. Rika. In a bikini I'd never seen before. Wrapped around a guy I didn't recognize. But I did. It was Mike. Same face from the contact photo. Same eyes, same arms. He was holding her waist. She was kissing his cheek. The timestamp. She read 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. The bedroom door opened and she stepped in wearing a towel, drying her hair. I didn't look up. I couldn't. Baby, I used the last shampoo, she said. My mouth opened, but no words came out. I stared at the screen like it could speak for me. Hey, she said again, walking over. You okay? I turned the laptop slightly. You told me Mike was your cousin. Her face froze. She glanced at the screen. That's not what it looks like. I blinked hard. You said he was your cousin. He used to be close, like family. We grew up together. You kissed him, Rika. She didn't answer, just stood there, dripping water on the tile. I swallowed. You were with him while I was waiting for you at the mall, weren't you? She looked away. We just talked. You said you forgot, that the signal was bad. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to get caught. Her jaw tightened. I never said this was forever. You knew the age difference. You knew this wasn't. I stood up. Say it. It's not real love, okay? She snapped. You helped me. I helped you. That's what it was. My heart cracked, but I kept my voice low. You told me you loved me. She folded her arms. People say things. Doesn't mean it's forever. It did to me. She sighed and walked past me toward the dresser. I'm not doing this now. I followed her. Who else knew? Did your mom know? Did Mike know about me? You're making this bigger than it is. It is big, Rika. I gave you everything. I trusted you. She turned around fast. And I gave you something too. You weren't exactly beating women off with a stick when you came here. My voice dropped. You used me. You let me. That one hit harder than anything else. I stared at her, then down at the floor. Get dressed, I said quietly. I need air. I walked to the balcony and leaned on the railing. The city lights didn't look the same. The noise felt louder. I couldn't breathe. I thought about the bracelet, the late texts, the soft lies that never felt like lies until now. She stayed inside, didn't follow, didn't explain, didn't care. And still I felt the urge to fix it, to forgive her, to believe this could be saved. That's the part that made me sick. Not her betrayal, my weakness, my need, my silence. I stayed out there until my legs ached and the air turned thick. I stayed because I didn't want to see her sleep next to me again. I stayed because I didn't know what to do now that the truth was finally loud enough to hear. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. I stood in the kitchen doorway, holding onto the edge of the wall like I needed it to keep me upright. My throat burned. I didn't know how to start. but I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. "Rika," I said quietly. She looked up. "Hmm?" I swallowed. "I need to know the truth." She tilted her head. "About what?" "About you and Mike. About everything." She sighed and set her phone down. "I thought we already talked." "No. You deflected. Now I'm asking, just tell me what this has been." She looked at me like I was being dramatic. "It's what it looks like," she said. "Mike is my boyfriend, kind of, but he's not like you. He's different." "So what am I?" I asked. "Some backup plan?" She shrugged. "Your comfort. You're safe. You gave me peace. That's not a bad thing." I felt something crack inside me. "You said you loved me." She looked down. "I love what you gave me. I love how you made me feel." I stepped closer. "That's not the same." "It's the only love I know how to give," she said. Softly, I shook my head. "You moved into my life, my bed. You held me when I cried, and all that time you were seeing him." She didn't deny it. "Mike doesn't take care of me. He's broke. He's impulsive. But he's young. He gets me." "And I don't?" My voice cracked. She didn't answer. I felt my knees go weak. I sat down on the chair by the door, head in my hands. "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Would you have stayed?" she asked. "Would you have paid for my mom's rent or helped my brother with the motorbike?" I looked up at her. "So, that's all I was, a wallet with a warm lap?" "No," she said quickly. "Don't say that. You were more than that, but you knew what this was. You knew it couldn't last." "No," I said. "I thought it could. I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd found something real again." My voice cracked, and the tears came faster than I could stop them. "You made me feel like I mattered, like I wasn't just waiting to die." She stood there, frozen. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't try not to," I whispered. She stepped past me without touching me, walked into the bedroom and closed the door. I sat in that silence for what felt like hours. My chest ached. My face was wet. I wiped my eyes and realized I hadn't cried like that since my divorce. Maybe not even then. I kept waiting for her to come back out, to hold me, to say anything that might soften the blow. But the door stayed shut, and the only sound in that room was me, sobbing quietly, wondering how I could have been so wrong about someone who had been in my arms every night. I wasn't just hurt, I was hollow, and I didn't know what part of me she'd taken, but I knew I wouldn't get it back. She stood by the door, clutching her phone like she was waiting for the right moment. I was at the sink, rinsing my coffee cup, pretending I didn't feel the tension hanging between us like wet laundry. "Baby," she said softly, "can I ask something?" I didn't turn. "You can ask." She took a small step forward. "My mom, she's in the hospital, chest pain. They say it might be serious." I dried the cup slowly. "Is she okay?" "They need to run more tests, but they won't do it unless we give deposit." "How much?" I asked, even though I already knew what was coming. 20,000, she said, "just to admit her. If we wait, it might get worse." I looked at her finally. Her face didn't move, her eyes were dry. She didn't even fake the worry this time. That was when I knew. She wasn't trying to fool me anymore. She didn't have to. I set the cup down gently. "Do you want me to send it to your Gcash?" She blinked. "Yes, if that's okay." I nodded. "It's okay." She didn't say thank you. She didn't cry. She just walked back into the bedroom and sat on the bed, scrolling. Through her phone like it was any other day, I grabbed my phone, opened the banking app, and stared at the numbers for a few seconds longer than I needed to. I tapped out the amount. My thumb hovered over the confirm button. I wasn't sending it because I believed her. I wasn't doing it for her mom. I was doing it because I needed this moment to be mine. The last thing I gave her, and I needed it to be my choice. After I hit send, I didn't tell her. I walked out to the balcony, lit the citronella candle she always forgot to use, and pulled the chair back until I could lean my head against the wall. The air felt thicker than usual. I could still hear her laugh in the back of my head, the way she used to call me my sweet old man, like it was a compliment. I closed my eyes and listened for the traffic, the vendors, the dogs barking across the street. Anything but her voice. I didn't cry. I just sat there and felt the last thread snap. I didn't hate her. I hated how much I let her in, how much of myself I gave up just to feel wanted again. She didn't come outside. She didn't check on me. I don't think she needed to. She knew the money was sent. She knew what that meant, that I was finished, that I had nothing else to give. I looked up at the sky. The stars were faint, blurry. Maybe that was the smog. Maybe it was my eyes. Either way, they felt far away, like everything else I used to believe in. I sat like that for hours, long after the candle burned out, long after the sounds of the street had faded into something close to silence. I didn't move. I just let the night close in, and for the first time, I didn't hope she would come, looking. I didn't want a goodbye. I already gave it. In pesos. The ferry ride to Dumaguete was quiet. I sat by the window, watching the sea ripple past like it didn't care who I was or what I'd left behind. I didn't bring much, just a single suitcase, my journal, and the clothes I'd stopped associating with her touch. I turned off my phone halfway through the trip. Not off, just airplane mode. I told myself it was for the signal, but really, I didn't want to see if she messaged. I didn't want to feel that hope anymore. I just wanted to disappear in a way that felt peaceful, not pathetic. I rented a small place just outside town. Nothing fancy. No gate, no staff, no one calling. Me, sir. Just 4 walls. A ceiling fan that squeaked like it had a story of its own, and a balcony with a view of the trees. That first night, I sat out there with a notebook and tried to write what I felt. Not poetry, just truth. I miss her, I wrote. But I miss who I thought she was, not who she became. I closed the book after that. It was enough. The days moved slower in Dumaguete. There's something about being in a place where no one knows your name. It strips away the need to pretend. I started walking every morning. Not far, just enough to remind myself I still had legs. I ate alone, read old novels, watched street kids play basketball with half-inflated balls. No one asked me where I was from or who I lived with. No one cared. And in that space, I began to breathe again. One morning, I found a small cafe near the university. Wood tables, open air, good coffee. I became a regular without trying. The barista learned my order in 3 days. Black, no sugar. One afternoon, I was sitting at my usual table, scribbling in my notebook, when a man sat down across from me. "Mind if I join?" he asked. I looked up. Tall, grey beard, sun-dried skin. "Go ahead." He nodded at my notebook. "You a writer?" I smiled. "Not exactly." "You look like someone who's lived." I didn't know what to say to that. He didn't press. We sat in silence for a bit. It wasn't awkward, just quiet. After he left, I stared at my reflection in the window. Did I look like someone who'd lived? Or someone who'd just barely survived? Either way, I felt seen, not for what I'd done, just for being there. And that was something. I still thought about Rika sometimes. I'd catch myself reaching for my phone, about to message her a picture of a mango tree or a funny sign in broken English. Then I'd stop. She was probably with him or someone else, or maybe alone, scrolling through my messages like I used to scroll through hers. I didn't wish her pain. I didn't wish her happiness either. I just didn't want to wish at all. I walked home that evening as the sun dipped low, turning everything gold and soft. I passed a little boy chasing a stray dog, laughing like the world hadn't broken his heart yet. I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in weeks. Not because I was better, but because I was still here, still breathing. And for now, that was enough. I sit by the water now most mornings. Same spot, same bench. Locals pass by on their scooters. Kids shout from the shore. Vendors call out for breakfast orders. And I just sit there with my notebook open on my lap, and the waves gently reminding me I'm still here. I'm not writing this because I want sympathy. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I'm writing this because I need to say it out loud, even if no one hears it, even if no one cares. I loved a woman who didn't love me back the way I needed, and it broke something inside me, but it didn't kill me, and maybe that's the part I didn't expect. Rika wasn't evil. That's what surprises people when I tell them. They expect me to paint her like some manipulative witch, a schemer. But she wasn't. She was just young, lost in her own world, a survivor. And I was convenient. I had what she needed: money, stability, softness. She gave me what I needed too: attention, touch, the illusion of being chosen. That's not love. But when you're lonely, it's close enough to fool your heart. I don't blame her anymore. I don't even blame myself, not fully. I made choices with my eyes half open. I saw the red flags, I heard the silences between her words. I watched her turn away too quickly when I spoke from my chest. I ignored all of it. I wanted the dream, more than the truth. "You're old but kind," she once told me. "Kind is better than handsome." At the time I smiled. Now I hear it differently. She was always telling me who I was in her life. I just didn't want to understand it. Sometimes I walk past the shops and see couples laughing, holding hands, leaning into each other like the world is theirs. I don't flinch anymore. I don't look away. I don't envy them. I just wonder what they'll learn, what they'll lose, what they'll carry with them 10 years from now. We all carry something. For me, it's the image of her brushing her hair in front of my mirror, the way she used to hum when she cooked, the weight of her head on my shoulder the first time we watched the sunset together. It wasn't all fake. It just wasn't forever. There's a man I see sometimes at the cafe, retired military, I think, strong jaw, stiff back. One morning, he asked what I write about. I said, "Memories I can't afford to forget." He nodded like he understood. "Women?" he asked. I smiled. "One in particular." "Same," he said. We didn't need to say more. There's a quiet club of men like me out here. We don't form groups or start podcasts. We just nod at each other over cups of bitter coffee, trading glances that say, "Yeah, I know how it feels." I still have Rika's photo tucked inside my journal. Not because I want her back, I don't, but because I need to remember how easily I gave everything away. Not just the money, my trust, my softness, my time. I was so eager to feel close to someone again that I never thought about how far I'd fall if she let go. And she did, softly, like a hand slipping out of mine in the dark. No yelling, no drama, just absence. That's what hurt the most. Not the betrayal, the quiet way it all ended. I kept asking myself, was I a fool? And maybe for a while I was, but I don't think that's the right word anymore. I was a man who loved, who wanted connection, who thought it was still possible at 67 to matter to someone new. That's not foolish. That's human. People make mistakes. We want too much. We trust too soon. We believe too deeply. But I'd rather be the man who gave too much than the man who never tried again. If I could speak to her now, I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't even ask why. I'd just say, "Thank you for showing me what I still had to learn. I gave you my mornings, my passwords, my past, and now I take back my future, not in anger, in peace. You were part of my story, not the whole book." Sometimes at night I still feel the echo of her laugh, the pressure of her hand on my back. Grief is strange that way. It shows up long after the goodbye. But I sit with it now. I let it visit. And then I let it leave. Healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering differently. When I walk back from the sea, the trees shift in the wind like they're clapping for the man I'm becoming. I'm not young again, I'm not in love. But I'm awake, and that counts for something. I write this from a small table by the water, where the sun hits the edge of my coffee cup just right. I watch the tide roll in and think about how many times I waited for someone to love me the way I loved them. I don't wait anymore. I don't beg. I don't believe in fairy tales. But I still believe in people, in second chances, in the kind of love that doesn't need to be perfect to be real. I don't know if I'll fall in love again. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'm not afraid of it now. I'm not angry at it. I just know better. And knowing better doesn't make me bitter. It makes me free. So if you're reading this, if you've been where I've been, just know you're not alone. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You're just human. And sometimes being human means walking into love blind, walking out bruised, and still waking up the next day willing to try again. I don't watch the door anymore. I don't refresh my inbox. I don't replay the what-ifs. I live. I walk, I breathe, I write. I sit by the sea and let it whisper what I wish someone had told me years ago. You're not a fool. You're just a man who loved, and you're still here.